Here are my top 5 ESL passive voice games and activities. First of all, what is the passive voice? You use the passive voice when the subject is the recipient of the action. What does that mean? Here are a few examples. The first example is when the agent of the action is not clear. My dog was let out. It's not clear who let the dog out of my yard. The second example is when the agent is not important. So if someone says, "Do you need a ride?" you could say, "I'm being picked up." It doesn't matter if it was my mom or my dad or my friend, whoever was picking me up. It doesn't matter. So I can use the passive voice. The third example is when the agent is obvious. So for example, I've been instructed to organize the Christmas party. If I'm at work, it was my boss that told me to organize the Christmas party. It's just so obvious that you don't even need to mention it. So here are my top 5 games and activities for teaching the passive voice. The first one is to use concentration. So make up a bunch of nouns and then a bunch of verbs that would kind of fit together in a passive voice sentence, and then put students into groups of say 4 people, and they can place all these cards face down on their desk. So I'd maybe do 16, so 8 sets of 2, so 8 verbs, 8 nouns. The first student would take a card, one card and another card. If they kind of match and they can make a sentence, they can make a sentence using the passive voice. If correct, they could keep those 2 cards and they get 1 point. If it's incorrect, they place it face down in the same spot because it's a memory game, and the next student gets a chance to go. Continue on until all the cards are gone. The second activity is fill in the blank. So this is a very simple thing to do. Just kind of make a worksheet, or you can find them online. You're probably in the textbook that you're maybe using. And students can fill in the blanks with the correct nouns or the correct verbs. And then I get students to compare with a partner, and then we compare answers together with the class. So this is a very controlled exercise activity, kind of for right after you teach the initial concept of what the passive voice is. The third idea is kind of a freer practice exercise. It's famous inventions. So talking about inventions really leads to using the passive voice because the focus is on the invention, not necessarily on the person who made it. So put students into small groups, say 2 or 3 people, and they can use their phones. They can research a famous invention and then come up with a little presentation to give to the class using the passive voice for most of their sentences. So the length of time you use on this activity really varies. It can be 15 minutes, it can be 2 hours, whatever it is, and how much detail you expect out of your students and what kind of level they are as well. The fourth activity is error correction. So I would write up a bunch of sentences. Some of them are correct and some of them are incorrect, and using the passive voice. And the ones that are correct, students just leave them. The ones that are incorrect, they have to make the required changes. The final passive voice activity is remember this. So I'd have a PowerPoint, or I'd even just have a simple tray if I have a small class, and I'd have different objects. So I'd have like a pencil, an eraser, a pen, maybe my cell phone, whatever. And then I give students a minute or 2 to kind of study the tray. After that time, I tell students to close their eyes, or I turn my back if I have a tray, or if I have a PowerPoint, I can just have a second PowerPoint with the changes. Then maybe my pencil is missing, so I've taken away the pencil from that original thing. And students have to use the passive voice and tell me what was changed. So they could say the pencil was removed. So the focus is on the pencil. It's not on me, the person who removed it. And so then just continue on. You can have another slide or you can make another change. And then they could say, oh, an eraser was added, something like that. Okay, so that is it for my passive voice ESL games and activities. Please hit like, subscribe, and check out my book, 39 No Prep, Low Prep ESL Grammar Activities. Okay, catch you next time. Bye, everybody.